Why did the racing officials suddenly change the pit lane speed limit at Zandvoort from 60 to 80 kilometers per hour just days before what might be one of the last Dutch Grand Prix races ever? What happens when you mix an 80% chance of rain with experimental tire strategies on Formula One's hardest track for passing other cars? And could Yuki Tsunoda's disappointing 7-point score as Max's teammate finally cost him his Red Bull seat in front of the Orange Army? The 25 Dutch Grand Prix isn't just another race weekend. According to the official race preview, this might be one of the last times we'll see F1 racing in the Netherlands because it costs too much money for the organizers. With everything from championship battles to career-defining moments hanging in the balance, this weekend at Zandvoort has become the perfect storm of strategic chaos, unpredictable weather, and high-stakes drama. Let's start with the biggest immediate problem facing teams this weekend. According to the official weather forecast, Friday will see maximum temperatures of just 20 degrees Celsius with winds between 15 to 25 kilometers per hour and an 80% chance of rain. Saturday drops even lower to 18 degrees Celsius maximum. And Sunday keeps that same 80% rain probability with winds howling at 20 to 30 kilometers per hour. But here's where it gets tricky. As noted in the race preview, Zandvoort sits right next to the North Sea, where the wind plays a huge role in the car's balance. Teams are walking into a weekend where they might get very little dry running to understand their car setups. Yet, they're expected to nail the balance for what could be their final chance to race on this unique circuit. The racing officials have made things even more interesting by increasing the pit lane speed limit to 80 kilometers per hour, specifically designed to promote a race with 2 stops. According to Pirelli's official statement, the tire manufacturer explains that Zandvoort is a track where tire wear is a big problem. So this change is meant to stir up the pot and create a bit of artificial competition. But here's the contradiction that could define the entire weekend. Despite these changes encouraging more pit stops, Pirelli admits that according to computer simulations provided by the teams, the one stop is still fastest. Why? Because passing other cars is really hard at Zandvoort, with very few straight sections apart from the main one. This is combined with the fact the whole track is quite narrow. But the strategic nightmare is just beginning when you factor in what Pirelli discovered about Zandvoort's unique energy demands. You might think teams would simply adapt their strategies based on the track's known characteristics. After all, as Pirelli explains, circuits like Suzuka, Monza, Silverstone, and Spa are all harder on tires than Zandvoort in terms of pure tire wear. The Dutch Grand Prix venue seems manageable enough. It's a relatively short track with what Pirelli describes as average grip and road surface roughness. Teams have 3 years of data since the circuit's return in 2010, and they understand the technical demands. But here's what makes Zandvoort uniquely challenging. According to Pirelli's official analysis, while other circuits may be harder on tires overall, the track that hosts the Dutch Grand Prix is the one where energy density is highest. This is due to several factors, including its relatively short length and the high number of corners combined with the lack of straights where tires could be rested and cooled down. Think about what this means strategically. Teams are dealing with a circuit that demands constant energy output from the tires without giving them recovery time. Add in the 80% chance of rain, and you have conditions where tire strategy becomes almost impossible to predict. Here's where the championship implications become crystal clear. According to the race preview, Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri seem to be the only 2 main contenders for the Drivers' Championship, and Norris currently sits just 9 points behind after winning 3 of the last 4 races. But Norris has history at Zandvoort that could work in his favor. As noted in the preview, last year Norris took away a 20-second lead from Verstappen in front of his home fans. Lando himself said in recent interviews that nothing makes my life feel different. It's just your preparedness for this moment, for this battle. I feel now more like the most complete driver I've ever been. However, the weather conditions could completely shuffle the competitive order. The race preview warns that this weekend's conditions are similar to the chaos we saw in Belgium, where the racing officials will step in and make chaos like they did in previous F1’s TED races. There's even a reference to 2021 when the rain caused the race to not even start in the first place. But while the championship fight gets more intense, there's another battle happening that could reshape the entire Red Bull lineup. The pressure on Yuki Tsunoda has reached a breaking point. According to the race preview, Tsunoda has done a disappointing job, scoring just 7 points as Max's teammate. The situation became even more embarrassing in Hungary, where even being within 1/10 of Max's time, he wasn't able to go through in Q3. What makes this weekend particularly crucial for Tsunoda is the rising competition. The preview specifically mentions the rise of Hajar, Lawson, Lindblad, and now Alex Palou as drivers who could replace him. Team principal Laurent Mekies is trying to provide support, stating that the priority is to give Yuki what he needs to perform, but admits they've been trying that for a number of races now. The irony is obvious. Tsunoda faces his biggest test in front of Max's home crowd. The Orange Army that has watched Verstappen achieve 4 podiums, 3 of which were race wins since Zandvoort's return in 2021. Meanwhile, McLaren team principal Andrea Stella is preparing for interference from an unexpected source. Despite Ferrari being focused on 2026 entirely now after having no chance for the championship in both categories, Stella believes in the second half of the season, a lot of points are going to be stolen by Ferrari. He specifically warned that any time we are racing for the second part of the season, we would have to take into account that in qualifying and in the race, we would have to deal with Ferrari. And then there's the elephant in the room that could make this weekend historically significant. The most depressing reality facing everyone this weekend is that we might be witnessing the end of an era. According to the race preview, this is highly likely one of the last times we're going to see racing in the Netherlands because of the financial burden that it became to the government and the organizers. The race officials have already turned down the offer of having to rotate around with other races, and while Zandvoort is confirmed for 2026, it's highly unlikely that they are going to organize F1 events beyond that year. Even more telling, NASCAR and IndyCar are showing some interest in taking over this circuit. For Verstappen, this adds another layer of emotional complexity. As the preview notes, ever since its return in 2021, the Dutchman racked up 4 podiums, 3 of which were race wins. The question becomes, could losing Zandvoort from the calendar actually affect his future motivation in Formula One? But perhaps the biggest unresolved question heading into Sunday concerns the weather lottery. With an 80% chance of rain and winds up to 30 kilometers per hour, we could see everything from a boring dry race to complete chaos if conditions change rapidly during the Grand Prix. Teams are essentially gambling on strategies they can't properly test. The combination of softer tire compounds, faster pit stops, difficult overtaking, and unpredictable weather creates a scenario where a single strategic decision could swing the championship momentum dramatically. Will we see Norris capitalize on his previous Zandvoort success to take the championship lead? Can Tsunoda save his Red Bull career with a standout performance? Will Ferrari indeed steal points from the McLaren championship fight as Stella predicts? With the clock ticking toward what could be Zandvoort's foe, Formula One. Farewell, this weekend represents more than just another race. It's potentially the final chapter of one of the sport's most unique venues, played out under some of the most challenging and unpredictable conditions we've seen all season. What's your prediction for this weekend's chaos? Let me know in the comments, and make sure to subscribe for more F1 analysis as we head into the final stretch of what's shaping up to be one of the most dramatic championship battles in years.